251/13. I just said that again for the recording. And it had to start. There we go. All right. It says, suppose that a fashion company determines that the cost in dollars of producing a cell phone case is C sub x, that's the cost, is equal to blah, 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 blah. Find C sub 51. Okay, this is where I don't agree with the book. They're doing the difference quotient with the formula. So you got to plug in the formula for 251, then minus 250, then 251 over 250. All right, that's the way they're doing that. So you got to plug that in each one, or you could do the, let's see if we can do this. Let's see if we can just do the difference quotient and then just plug in the numbers. Let's see what happens. So let's see, what is our function is, y'all have to excuse me, I'm trying to do 2 or 3 things at one time. And you know, with men, it's hard to do. All right. That goes in again with your story with the, let's shut up, Hubert. F of x, C of x is equal to negative 0.05 x squared plus 60x. Now, they're doing it the way that I wouldn't do it. I would rather you find m, and that's going to be negative 0.05 parentheses squared plus 60 times parentheses minus negative 0.05 x squared plus 60x, and divided by h. And h is basically, you know, x minus x plus h. So that's what that's why they're minusing it. And that's going to be x plus h right here. And x plus h right here, because that's f of x plus h minus f of x over h. And that's going to be m is equal to negative 0.05 times x squared plus 2xh plus h squared plus 60x plus 60h plus 0.05 x squared minus 60x. And y'all check my math there, my algebra. And then I'm going to distribute that. M is equal to negative 0.05 x squared plus, be a minus, sorry, minus 0.05 times 2. That's a dime. 2 nickels is a dime, but we're going to get to that in just a second. Plus 0.05 h squared plus 60x plus 60h plus 0.05 x squared minus 60x over h. Take our red pen out. And 0.05 x squared cancels with that one. And the 60x cancels with that 60x. And the h cancels with that h. And it cancels that to an h. And it cancels that out. So we get, for m, we get negative, the 2 nickels is a dime, plus 0.05 h plus 60. Now, you can take your handy-dandy numbers now and plug it into this and subtract them from each other. You should get the same answer. Okay, but what they're doing is they're taking each one of these, that x and that x right there, and they're plugging in 51 and then they're plugging in 250, and then they're plugging, and then 251 minus 250, that's 1. So you're going to get some numbers up here plugging them in. You should be able to plug in, wait a minute, hold on. With h, the derivative m is equal to negative 0.10x plus 60. And if you plug in 251 and 250 and subtract them here, you should get the same number. But let's do it their way. And let's take the 251, C sub 251 is going to be negative 0.05 times 251 squared plus 60 times 251 minus brackets C sub 250, and that's going to be negative 0.05 times 250 squared plus 60 times 250. All that over h, which is 251 minus 250. And they want you to do all of this, which is going to be a total cluster. So take your handy dandy calculator and let's clear everything. Clear, clear. And we're going to take 251, square it, and multiply that by 0.05 negative, multiplied by negative 0.05. And that gives us 3150. So that's negative 3150.05 plus, go ahead and do a plus, parentheses, 60 times 251, close parentheses, and that's going to give us 11,909.95. 60 times 251. Y'all check my math. And that's going to give us 11,909.95 minus, and let's do what's over here now. Let me pull this up right quick, show you what I'm doing. Okay, so I just plugged in those numbers and got 11,909.95. Now we're going to do this side. We're going to do that. So, and pray. This is not a test question. I can tell you that right now, because this is a lot of busy work. So we're going to take 250 and square it. So let me clear this and clear this. 250 raised to the second power times negative 0.05, and that's going to be negative 3125, negative 3125 plus 60 times 250 plus 60 times 250, and that's going to give me 11,875. So 11,909.95, and then we're going to subtract 11,875, and all that's going to be over 1. I think y'all know where I got the 1 from, and I'm doing this right here. There we go. Of course, the 1 comes from 250 minus 251 right there. That's where the 1 comes from. So 1109. So let's go ahead and do on the calculator 11 909.95 minus second negative symbol, which is the last answer you had. That's why A and S is up there, which is 118.75. And that leaves me with 34.95. And that should be what they got. $34.95. Now I can tell. I think Mr. Who sent this one? Mr. Abdallah.
Yeah.
This is you're chasing rabbits. Okay. This is not a test question. It represents the cost of making 250 items because that's what it asked for. It asked for 250, didn't it? Yeah, 250 items. Yeah, that's not a very good question. Now, if you plugged in 251 and 250 into the point 10x plus 60, if I did the algebra right, you should get the same answer. Let's see, what is 10%? 10% of 251 is 25.1. Negative 25.1 plus 60. I think that would work. Okay, not a good test question, but a homework question. Now you know how to do it. You just got to plug and chug 251 into this, get a number, 250 into this, and then subtract the 2. And the bottom, that's pretty simple. That's 1. Next one. This is 1.5. We're jumping to 1. Well, why are we jumping to 1.5? Let's go to 1.4. 1.4. This is 1.4, 15/5. 1.4, 15/5. First of all, is it a test question? Yeah, I like it as a test question. It does have 4 parts, but I like 4 parts. It does have 4 parts, but I like it. I like what it's asking. Now, we're going to do it 2 different ways. We're going to do it algebraically, and then we're going to do it with calculus, since y'all already know, since y'all know how to do calculus now. So, 4 over x. So which one's 4 over x? Well, 4 over x is half volcano, so it's going to be B. It's not going to be C or D because A and B is the only thing it could be, because anything over x, remember your parent graph, f of x is equal to 1 over x. Looks like that. And you should know that. If you don't know that, then you don't know your parent graphs, and you haven't done what I told you to do, so you're probably going to end up in a box, in a ditch, wondering where you went wrong. All right, so this is 4 over x. So that means it's going to be a little bit skinnier. So it's going to look like f of x is equal to 4 over x. That means it's going to be compressed this way and stretched this way, which would mean it would be a little bit closer to the middle, like that. A little bit closer to the middle and scrunched up. So that would be, hold on, that would be, yeah, this one. Because this is the inverse. And it's not these two, because those two are parabolas, so you can mark those off from the get-go. Unless you don't know your parent graphs. And if you don't know your parent graphs, then you don't know why I marked this one off to begin with. Okay, now they want you to do the draw tangent lines to graph at the points whose coordinates are 0 and 1. Okay, well, I'm worried about that later. Let's go ahead and do the difference quotient. So that means I'm going to take 4 and divide by x plus h. And I'm going to subtract 4 over x and put all that over h. And then I'm going to get ahead of it a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and limit. After I do this, I'm going to do the limit because I'm going a little bit further because we're in derivatives now, and I'm going to show you the calculus side also. So here's graphing it. That's self-explanatory. You can do that on a calculator also. And then over here, we're going to do it algebraically. You got to get a common denominator. That's going to be x plus h over 1, x times x plus h over 1 multiplied by x times x plus h over 1. And I'm going to multiply both of these by that. So I'm going to do that with a pink highlighter. This is called a complex rational expression. X times x plus h over 1. X times x plus h over 1. And the bottom, x times x plus h over 1. And now I'm going to write my problem in. Times 4 over x plus h. Minus 4 over x, h over 1. Now I want y'all, algebraically, to do this problem. This is all algebra. This ain't nothing calculus. I'm trying to get it all on here. Hold on a minute. My do-jigger, the cats have been messing with it. There we go. No, that ain't right. There we go. All right, now I want y'all to do your algebra right here and simplify this because you see that the x plus h is cancel and the x is cancel, and this is x times x plus h, or x times x plus h, so that's going to be, so go ahead and simplify that. I don't know why it's not focused. Damn Russians. Try that. Is that better? That's a little bit better. So go ahead and cancel that. I'll take my red pen, and that x plus h cancels. And that x cancels. And this doesn't cancel the ones just over 1. So I'm going to go up here and rewrite what we got. You should be able to do that. That's going to leave me with 4x minus 4 times x plus h over xh times x plus h. Is that what y'all got? Yes, Hubert, that's what I got. No, Hubert, I ain't got there yet. Hold on. No, I didn't get that. I have no idea what you're doing. Thank you for the interaction. Y'all suck. Oh, somebody said something. Probably 20 minutes ago because I don't look at the chat. Yep. What does yep mean? You got to give me some kind of subject. Yep, that's right, or?
Yes, that's right, Hubert. That's what we got.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I tell you. And y'all want to start a revolution. Good gracious. Y'all better take some classes in communication. Means I got it. There you go. All right, so distribute that -4. And that's going to be 4x minus 4x minus 4h over xh times x plus h. And of course, we all know that the x terms cancel. And the h is going to cancel with that h. And that's going to leave you with f prime of x is equal to -4 over x times x plus h. Now, that's your f prime of x, but I'm going to apply the limit theory. That's your answer. I'm going to apply the limit as h approaches 0 And that's going to be negative 4 over x times x plus 0. And x plus 0 is what? X, Hubert. That's right, class. So, applying your limit theory to your algebra, here's your algebra question. Here's your limit theory. Adding those two together, you get that right there. Now let's apply what we learned Tuesday. Let's go back to our question. F of x is equal to 4x. Four over x, sorry. Which is 4x to the what? Sorry, this thing is supposed to be, I don't know why my resolution is messed up. I haven't changed it. Damn Russians. Still not right. I don't know what's wrong with mine. The autofocus is supposed to be working, but I don't know why it doesn't work. All right, so there's that. And then use the power rule. Negative 1 times 4, x to the negative 1 minus 1. And that's going to be negative 4, x to the negative 2, or negative 4 over, I'm sorry, positive 4. No, it's negative 4. Should be negative 4 over x squared. Which one would y'all rather do? I would rather do the calculus, Hubert. Yeah, exactly. There's your algebra plus your limit theory. And there's your calculus. Aren't you glad dang old Isaac Newton came up with calculus? Ain't you glad about that? You'd still be doing this. Oh yeah, Hubert, that's great. Yeah, I think it's great. Yeah. You're learning something. Yeah, it is great. I got a question. How can a generation raised on South Park and Family Guy be so easily offended?
That's a very good question. You know, I've learned this week that all of Dr. Seuss' books are racist, apparently.
What did you say?
This week, the world decided all of Dr. Seuss' books were racist.
Yeah, and I'm a veteran. So that means an NRA member and a farm boy. So that means that, hell, I ain't got a chance. I'm NRA member, and I'm a terrorist and a white supremacist, and hell, I might as well just shoot myself. All right, and I was raised on Dr. Seuss and Wile E. Coyote. So I think America's losing its damn mind is what I think. Next, let's type it in and see what they say. There it is. And select the choice below, fill in the answer. If you plug in 0, you're going to get 0 in the denominator. And if you plug in 1, you're going to get 4, negative 4. So the next one will be negative 4. Now, I'm not going to do that. I think y'all can plug 0 into that function. And negative 1 into that function. I think y'all can get those. Okay? Now, if you understood, let me go ahead and show you this right quick. If you understood what I was doing here, And here, hold on. If you understood what I was doing here and here, then you're good for this test. But I guarantee you, most of you sucked right about here because you don't know your algebra. Whenever you're given a rational expression, you always find the common denominator and multiply through by the common denominator. That's one of those rules that they should have taught you when they were teaching you how to use a calculator. That's why you suck at it. Okay? I guarantee you that question was sent to me because of that rational expression. What do y'all think?
I agree.
You agree? You're not just doing that to make me feel good, are you? All right. 1.419/7. Oh, wait a minute. We've got 7. No, that's 1.2. 1.419/7. And I'm just going to go backwards because that way we do the harder ones first. All right. Find an equation of the line tangent to the graph. Okay, this is the same type. Go ahead, and I want you to do it by difference quotient, and then I want you to do it by calculus. So difference quotient is going to be 2 over parentheses minus 2 over x all over h. All right, I'm going to let y'all start on that one. And of course, you're going to plug in x plus h right here. That's supposed to be x, isn't it? 2 over x, isn't it? All right, take off. You got a minute to do that. And if you can't do it, then we'll just wrap that up as what? Being a failure in life. All right, so what are we going to multiply by?
The denominator.
X times x plus h, yes, over 1 over x times x plus h over 1. Because anything over itself is what? 1. So I'm multiplying by 1. Because x times x plus h over x times x plus h is 1. So I'm going to write that down for you here. Here. This is a baby step I usually put in for students. Now I'm going to rewrite my expression 2 over x plus h minus 2 over x. And I'm going to put that in brackets because of that negative. Times h over 1. And put this in brackets too. Now what you're going to see is you're going to see the x plus h's cancel. You're going to see the x's cancel. And you're going to get 2x minus 2 times x plus h over xh times x plus h. Okay, now use your algebra to finish this. And what cancels? The 2x's cancel, Hubert. And then that h cancels that h out. And algebraically, you're left with negative 2 over x times x plus h. Now that's your algebraic answer. When you apply a limit to that, limit as h approaches 0, that goes out and you're left with 2 over what? And that is your derivative. So this is your algebraic answer. And this is your derivative. Now you could have easily done that with calculus. On the next page, we will do that. F of x is equal to, what was it? 2 over x. F of x is equal to 2 to the x to the negative 1. Bring that 1 out. That'd be negative 1 times 2x to the negative 1 minus 1. And that's f prime of x. And f prime of x, which is the derivative, is negative 2 x to the negative 2, or negative 2 over x squared. Which is the same as that one. Now you see why people get a little bit confused with calculus. This transition right here is very important for you to understand. You can do the old school by doing algebra with the limit theory and get the derivative. Or you can just use straight calculus by the power rule and bring it out. And see, that's why people get confused. They don't make that transition. They think this is something, they think that's calculus, and then they think that's calculus. No, this is algebra plus the limit theory. This is calculus. And you should feel better about yourself. Yes, no, maybe. Or you should just quit. Appreciate y'all interacting with me this morning.
The calculus way is easier to me.
That's what it's supposed to be. That makes you appreciate the calculus when you do this over and over and over. When you do that over and over and over, and you get your hand gets a cramp in it, doing all that writing, and then you turn around and you can do it in half the steps. That's the whole point of doing this, to appreciate calculus. All right, so what do we get there? What do we get? 2 over x squared, negative 2 over x raised to the shift up second power. That should be it. Well, that's the answer. I don't know what they want, but that's the answer. What? I have no idea what that is. Oh, I know what they did. They did the point slope equation. Okay, we can do that. We can do that. That's fine. We got to find the slope first. Okay, I didn't read the directions. I know what they're doing. All right. First of all, let me ask you a question. This is a good question because it entails everything. I just didn't read the directions. What they're wanting you to do, one, is they want you to find the equation or the tangent line, which you either use algebra, limit, or use the derivative. And we got what? We got y, or f prime of x, or y prime, is equal to 2 over x squared, right? Or negative 2x to the negative 2. Everybody with me? And we know that f of x, or y, was equal to 2 over x. I think that's what it was, wasn't it? Let me look and make sure, because y'all not going to talk to me. So, yeah, 2 over x. That's the original. So I know my function looks like this. And they want to find, they say, at negative 8, comma, negative 1/4. Now watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to take my handy dandy highlighter, and we're going to highlight this orange. Negative 8 and negative 1/4. And they want to find the equation for this line, and I'm trying to find my orange. Now, I have no idea what it is because it looks like it's almost maybe right there. I'm going to exaggerate the point a little bit. There's the point. Everybody with me? They want the equation for that orange line. Sorry, hold on. Can't see. There we go. All right. Draw that, because there's 2 parts to this question. Somebody wrote something in the chat. Probably can't see the page. Yeah. All right. So there's our point right here. And they want to know the equation for this tangent line. So we got to find the point at negative 8. We got to find the slope here. So m at negative 8 is equal to negative 2 over negative 8, what? Squared. And that's going to be negative 2 over 64. And that's equal to negative 1 over what? 32. Everybody with me? So the slope of this orange line right here is negative 1 over 32. And nobody's going to say a word. Okay.
I'm with you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, now, use the point slope equation. Y, I'm going to do this in blue. Y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. We got m. M is negative 1 over 32. And this is our point. This is x sub 1. This is y sub 1. All right, get to it. Plug and chug and solve for y. We're going to do it on the next page. All right, so I'm going to go to the next page and write everything down. So the slope, point slope equation, y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. We've got a slope of negative 1 over 32 and a point negative 8, comma, negative 1/4. Well, y'all might as well quit on this one. Why? Why should y'all give up before you even start this one?
Because it has fractions.
It has fractions, and y'all can't do fractions, remember? Y minus parentheses is equal to parentheses times x minus parentheses. If you show up to me 10 years from now and ask me to do this problem, I'll still use those parentheses, whether I'm showing a class or whether I'm doing it myself. But some of y'all don't need them. Some of y'all already are beyond that. Yeah, whatever. Negative 1 over 32. This is x sub 1. This is y sub 1. So negative 1/4 and negative 8. Solve. Nothing but algebra. Y plus 1/4 is equal to negative 1 over 32x. Uh-oh. That's going to be a plus. And then negative times a plus is a negative 8 over 32. Yes, that can be simplified, and we're going to simplify it. Y plus 1/4 is equal to negative 1 over 32x minus what? Well, I know that 8 will go into 8 one time and there 4 times. Bring this across the river, it becomes a negative. And our final answer is negative 1 over 32x minus 1/2. So this right here, this is the equation for the orange line at x is equal to negative 8, which is what I was showing y'all after I read the question, after I couldn't figure out what they were doing. There it is. That orange line, the equation of that orange line is right here. And I hope there's another question like that one, because I apologize for me not reading the directions correctly. But when I saw that, it took me a minute to process it and find out what they were doing. I thought they were looking for the slope. And it says find an equation. And I didn't look at that. All right, so let's see if there's another one. Number 19. There's not another one, so I'm going to, for your benefit, I'm going to hit similar And it didn't change anything, did it? 2 over x. No, it didn't. 3, 3, 3. Similar. There we go. All right, you do that one. You'll have 2 in your notebook, in your handy dandy notebook. I used to watch Blue's Clues too with my kids. Blue's Clues and SpongeBob. We didn't watch Caillou. There was something wrong with that kid. That kid had issues. I didn't let my kids watch that. And I sure as heck didn't let them watch Teletubbies. Not one single comment. Y'all must have me muted. I think y'all have me muted.
Teletubbies is just
Teletubbies, no.
freaky, man. I can't do it.
And those guys from Australia that thought they were so popular, I don't know what their name was. They were stupid. I didn't let my kids watch them either.
I ain't gonna lie though, my niece watches Paw Patrol and that stuff slaps, man.
You did what?
My niece, she watches Paw Patrol and man, I can watch that for hours. I ain't even gonna lie.
Paw Patrol? Patrol?
Oh yeah.
I'll have to watch. I have to ask my son about that. He might have gotten on the latter part of that one. We still watch SpongeBob, the old episodes. We watch SpongeBob. We still watch it when there's nothing on TV.
I watch that till the day I die.
Yeah, I don't watch the new episodes. They don't. Their faces changed. Their expressions. Plankton is not as funny as he was, and Squidward is not as funny as he was. I liked it when Squidward was, you know. I'm gonna go home and throw up.
What do you think about the Mr. Potato Head losing his Mr. title?
I think the United States is losing its damn mind. That's what I think.
I was confused because I thought that there already was a girl potato head.
We're turning into the United States of buttercups and snowflakes. Have y'all ever seen the movie Demolition Man? Oh my God.
No.
You need to watch it. It's in
No,
the future, and everybody is, be well, be well. You can't have salt. You can't smoke. You can't drink. You can't do anything. And everybody is walking around going, be well, be well. That's what we're turning into.
They also stopped publishing some Dr. Seuss books because they have racist imagery, supposedly.
Oh my God. Like I said, we're losing our mind. If Dr. Seuss is racist, I'm a jet airplane pilot. Good gosh. -9, -1/3. Like I said, I don't understand how people that grew up on South Park and Family Guy, I don't understand how people can be racist. I mean, so offended. I just really don't understand it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and write this over here. There it is right there. Now, I'm not going to use algebra and limit theory since we've been exposed to 1.4 now. So I'm going to use calculus. F prime of x is equal to, well, this is 3, let's see, 3x to the -1. So that's going to be -3x to the -2. So -3x to the -2, or -3 over x squared. So there is my equation for my tangent line at any point on the curve. At any point. And our graph looks like this. I'm going to try to blow it up into the third quadrant. Okay, so here is our graph. Looks like that. and -9 and -1/3. We'll just say this right in there. And I'm going to put a little bit of a spin on it because I do know that it's negative. It should be negative. We'll put it in blue this time. And they want to know, and that point is -9, -1/3. And they want to know the equation for this line. Now, you may not be able to see if it's negative or positive. So that's why you do the algebra, so you'll know if it's negative or positive. So first we got to find the slope, so we can use the point slope equation. To use point slope equation, you've got to have a point. We got a point and a slope. We don't have a slope, so we got to find it. So f prime of -9 is equal to -3 times -9 to the -2 power, or -3 over -9 raised to the second power, which is equal to -3 over what? 81, which is equal to what?
-1/27.
1/27, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there is our slope. So now we've got a slope equal to -1/27 and a point of 9 and -1/3. Now plug it into the point slope equation. And I'll do that on the next page. So we've got m is equal to -1/27 and a point 9 and -1/3. Y minus parentheses equals parentheses times x minus parentheses. And I'm going to plug in my point. Y minus -1/3 is equal to -1/27 and -9 there. And now it's just a case of doing algebra. Y plus 1/3 is equal to -1/27 times x plus 9. Y plus 1/3 is equal to -1/27x minus 9/27. Y plus 1/3 is equal to -1/27x minus 1/3. Take the 1/3 across the river and it becomes a -1/3. And y is equal to -1/27x minus 2/3. And that is the equation of that blue line. Y equals -1/27x minus 2/3. And that means it's got a y-intercept of 2/3, which is right there. Good question. So whoever sent that question, that's a good question. I'm leaving these up every 2 or 3 seconds. So for the 1 or 2 people that actually watch the videos, you can actually hit pause and have plenty of time. Be like the student that asked me yesterday, "You have videos?" Nope. I record them, then right after class, I delete them. These people want to start a revolution. All right. 1.447/13. Y'all sending me questions after I'm going over questions. Y'all aren't supposed to be working on your homework in class. All right. So this is basically calculus. Find g prime of t when g of t is equal to 7 over t squared. First thing I'm going to do is rewrite it. 7t to the negative 2. Pull that out front, and that becomes g prime of t, because you're using the power rule, negative 2 times 7, t to the negative 2 minus 1. Now, why am I writing everything out? Because for some of y'all, this is the first time y'all have ever seen calculus before. So you can either start with a technique that sucks, or you can start with a technique that doesn't suck. Those of you that have ever played a musical instrument or done anything like boxing or martial arts, it's all about what? I just said it, T word. It's all about what? Thank you, Miss Holcomb. Technique. Because if you have a terrible technique in martial arts, you're going to get your butt whooped. It's all about technique. You can work on speed after you work on technique. You got to have the technique down with playing the piano before you can work on speed. All right, same thing here. You got to work on your technique. If you've never done calculus before, or if you sucked at calculus, then you need, because this is calculus, no matter if you're in 140 or 130. This is calculus. So just letting you know. G prime of t is equal to negative 14 t to the negative 3, or negative 14 over t to the third power. Because some guys in here, and I notice guys, most of the guys, they want to go from here to here in one step. And you're not going to be able to do that. I'm sorry. You may be able to do it with 1 or 2 problems, but if I throw a couple of radicals in there with fractions and with exponents, you're going to be going back to your basic technique right here.
Hubert, where's the -1 come from on that?
Oh, that's the power rule. This is the
Okay.
power rule right here. Remember, I showed you. If I want to take the derivative of a to the n, then that n comes out front. So that'd be n times a, and then n minus 1. It's always n minus 1. You're always going to subtract that 1, always. So that should be your answer. Either one of these are your answers. I don't know how they want it, but let's look and see what their directions say. Doesn't say. You started with a fraction, so I'm going to use the cardinal rule of science and math. If you start with a fraction, you what? You end with a fraction. Thank you, class. So negative 14 over t raised t shift up to the third power. And we feel good about ourselves, so we don't wear sunglasses indoors. Please don't do that, guys, because you look stupid. All right. Why is that a good test question? Because it's short and what? Short and sweet. That's a good test question. Next, 14, 1.4, 50/15. We got to finish this up pretty soon. All right, so here is, you got to rewrite this one. Why? Because radicals and calculus do not mix. Radicals and calculus do not mix. So h of x is equal to 3 over the square root of x plus 1. Somebody tell me what you would do first. I believe Mr. Berry said this Tuesday. What would you do to that radical, Mr. Berry, if you're not gone back to sleep or in the kitchen eating? What would you do with that radical? Yeah, he done left the room.
Did you say my name?
Yeah. What would you do with that radical?
You would change it. You'd move it to the top. You would
Yeah, change it to 1/2.
Parentheses x plus 1 to the negative 1/2.
Okay. Equals 3. And that would be x plus 1 to the 1/2 power. Now, I'm fixing to show y'all something because...
Negative 1/2?
I'm sorry, what?
Wouldn't it be negative 1/2?
Yes, it would. Thank you. All right, I'm fixing to jump a little bit to the chain rule. Okay, I'm going to jump to the chain rule here because I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm going to show you what the chain rule is. If you promise me you will not look at the chain rule in the book. Does everybody promise that? I hope you're promising, because y'all not going to tell me if you promise, but don't look at the chain rule in the book. Why am I telling you to do that? Because it will confuse you. So here is how you do the chain rule. And when do you know, how do you know to use the chain rule? Whenever you see parentheses. Whenever you see these parentheses right here, that's when you know you got to use the chain rule, because they encompass a term and a variable. Okay, that's not a number. That's a numerical algebraic sentence. So when you have something like this in there, 2x minus 4, or 3x plus 2, and you've got something in parentheses, you're going to be using the chain rule. And here is the chain rule. The chain rule is the cousin to the power rule. The chain rule is a cousin to the power rule. Why? Because you use the same method. The power rule says if you have f of x is equal a to the n, then you bring that n out, and that's going to be f prime of x is equal to n times a to the n, and then we minus the 1. So everybody should know that. Okay, I'm going to highlight the minus 1 and the n. I'm going to highlight what you do to the original function. All right. Now, the chain rule is a cousin to this. The only difference is the chain rule has parentheses around the middle, and we call it what's inside. All right. The chain rule, and somebody look in your outline, Ms. Hollister or Ms. Holcomb, what section is the chain rule? Is it 1.6? Y'all can tell me.
It's 1.7.
Okay, 1.7. And a lot of you are saying, well, Hubert, we haven't done one. It doesn't matter, because the chain rule applies more to the power rule than it does to the additive or the product rule and quotient rule. All right, so here we go. What do you do? Well, I'm going to put what's inside. That's the term that's used with the chain rule. If you have f of x is equal to parentheses, I'm going to put a plus b, okay, to the n power. Now this is the difference right here. Instead of a, you have a algebraic sentence, which is x plus 1. Everybody see that? That's the difference. I'm going to use the same rule. I'm going to bring this n out. And I'm going to do f prime of x is equal, and I'm going to put that in pink, n times a plus b to the n minus what? Does everybody see the relationship to the power rule? Does everybody see that? These two right here are related. Does everybody see that? Okay, Miss Holcomb, Miss Hollister, do you see that?
Yeah, we see it.
Okay, but there's one added thing to the chain rule. You have to take, and I'm going to do this in a green highlight, you have to take the derivative of what's inside. You have to take the derivative of what's inside. So I've got right here a plus b prime. That's a prime right there. Let me slant it a little bit more. Okay. You have to take the derivative of this right here. Now it makes better sense with a example. Okay. It makes better sense with an example. So I'm going to do this example right down here for the chain rule. So here's our problem. 3 times x plus 1 to the negative 1/2 power. And I'm going to take my pink highlighter and I'm going to pull that 1/2 out front. And I'm going to subtract 1. And I'm going to put in parentheses x plus 1 prime. Because I've still got work to do here. We still got a lot of work to do before we can finish this problem. So somebody tell me what's 1/2 times 3? 3/2. So I'm going to change that to negative 3/2 times x plus 1 to the negative 1/2 minus what? What am I going to change that 1 to? 2/2, Hubert, because I got to have a common denominator. And what is the derivative of 1x plus 1? Well, the derivative of 1x plus 1 is 1. The derivative of 1x is 1. And the derivative of a constant is 0. And we'll get to that a little bit more as we get into the power rule a little bit more. All right, the derivative of 1x is 1. And I'll show you, I'll go back and show you 1x plus 1. And what did I tell you was beside each coefficient and each, there's always a variable and a coefficient with each. So 1 times 1, x to the 1 minus 1, plus 0 times 1, x to the 0 minus 1. This comes out to be 1x to the 0 plus 0x to the negative 1. And what does x to the 0 always give us? What any number raised to the 0 power, what does it give us?
0.
No.
Wait, 1.
1. And what's 0 times anything?
0.
So 1 plus 0 is the derivative of that. Remember me showing y'all the first day? I showed y'all this right here. I might have showed y'all this. I couldn't remember, but I usually do when I teach calculus. There's always a variable beside each coefficient, and that variable here is x to the 0. If you use the power rule, 0 out front and -1, hell, it don't matter what this is because that 0 is going to what? It's going to take that out. You're going to get 0. So the derivative of any constant number, of any number, is what? 0. All right, so that's how you can check yourself. And then here, that's a 1. 1 times 1 is 1. The derivative of any coefficient and variable to the first power is that coefficient. And you'll learn that as you do more and more problems. You'll learn that. So let's get back to our problem. Let me just do this. Here's our problem. We haven't finished yet because we've still got some work to do. And -3/2, parentheses, x plus 1. Now, the reason that x plus 1 is still black, that's the only part that we really haven't changed to the negative what? We'll change that color to a magenta color. Somebody tell me what that is. What's -1/2 minus 2/2? -3/2, Hubert. That's right, class. Times what? What's 1 plus 0?
1.
And then 1 times -3/2. I'm doing it step by step for y'all. X plus 1 to the -3/2. Now, we can simplify that -3/2 and we can put a radical. Let's go ahead and do that. That would be, or bring that down, and it would be -3 over 2. Exponent over index would be the square root of x plus 1 to the 3rd power. So that would be parentheses square root of x plus 1 to the 3rd power. And you could actually conjugate that. We're not going any further, okay? Because you could conjugate this. You could take, that would be 2 times x plus 1 times the square root of x plus 1, and then you could conjugate that. I'm not going to go through all that, but there's your answer right there. Now, I want to do a chain rule that is not, this one is hard to see because of the 1 in front of the x. So with the last minute remaining, did I check the roll in here? Yes or no?
Yes.
I did? Okay. All right. So we're going to do another one. And this is pretty basic. I'm just going to give you a basic chain rule problem. F of x is equal to 3x minus 2 raised to the 4th power. All right. And I want you to do the chain rule. This one, you know what the derivative of 3x is. The derivative of 3x is 3. So I'm going to bring the 4 out front. So that's going to be 4 times 3x minus 2, 4 minus 1. And then what is inside? 3x minus 2, and I need to take the derivative of 3x minus 2. So all of this in black is pretty much the power rule. That's the power rule. Bring the 4 out front and subtract 1. That's the power rule. So that's going to be 4. That's going to go in the trash can after class. 3x minus 2 to the 3rd power. And then I'm going to rewrite this has 3x to the first power minus 2x to the what? 0 power. And take the derivative of each of those terms. Well, I'm going to do that. 1 times 3, x to the 1 minus 1, minus 0 times 2, x to the 0 minus 1. 1 times 3 is 3, x to the 0 minus 0 times x to the negative 1. And what happens to 0 times x to the negative 1? It goes out. And what's 3 times 1? 3. So the derivative of a coefficient and a variable to the first power is equal to that coefficient. The derivative of a constant will always be what? 0. So you could actually say 3 plus 0 if you wanted to, which is 3. So my final answer is 4 times 3x minus 2 to the third power times what? 3. And what's 3 times 4?
12.
So your final answer is 12 times 3x minus 2 to the third power. And that's how you do the chain rule. Now, I realize that we are getting ahead of ourselves, but with that problem, I went ahead and showed you the chain rule so I could get one more section in today. So I don't want you working on, what did we say chain rule was, Ms. Hollister? 1.7?
Yeah.
So right now, tonight, over the weekend, y'all need to be working on 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, and 1.7. 1.5 and 1.6 I haven't covered yet. Okay? All right, I've already checked the roll, so we haven't got to worry about that. I'm turning off the recording, and if there's anything